First question is from Zelen Castiat. How much protein can the body absorb in one meal? Is there a limit? And if it exists, what is it? 20 grams, 30 grams, 80 grams?
Yeah, I like this question because it gets asked all the time and because it highlights something that is annoying in the fitness industry, and that's this. A lot of the information that we start to believe to be true really came from marketers and advertisers trying to market their products. So this whole concept of you can only absorb, and this is what you'll get sometimes, you can only absorb about 40 grams of protein at a sitting, or 50 grams of protein is about the most you can absorb.
How did they measure that?
They measured it because that's about as much protein as you can pack in 2 scoops of protein powder.
Exactly.
That's where it came from.
Nobody's taking cadavers and taking samples of, your cells and figuring all that out.
You know what dictates how much protein you can...
Again, like anything else, so there's got to be some sort of truth in it. That's why that's why it carries some weight, right? Because obviously it does take the body some time to assimilate the protein, right? And I'm sure but here's the thing, there's such a wide individual...
But everybody's different with
that.
Yeah, right. And if you're fasted versus if you were fed, if you're somebody who's 300-pound big person versus someone who's 110-pound, all those things change. So I bet there is kind of a round number that's close to that.
Here's what dictates how much you can absorb. Your digestion. That's all. Right. So if you eat past a certain point and you feel bloated or inflamed or constipated or diarrhea, then you probably went too far. That's what dictates it, because here's what happens with protein. It's a slow process of assimilation. So if you can eat 100 grams at a sitting and be okay with your digestion, you're going to utilize 100 grams of protein. So long as your body needs it, then you're going to assimilate it. It's not like this, the body's hit 50 grams. Let's take this other 50 and do what with it? Yeah. Like it just comes out your body?
Yeah, that's the thought, I think.
No, it doesn't work that way. Your digestion determines this for you. So I know people, I've worked with clients where they need to have small amounts of protein because for whatever reason, protein was constipating for them. I had a few clients like that where if they would eat over 30 grams or so, they noticed that they would kind of get constipated. I know other people where protein is extremely easy. I'm one of these people. I can eat a large serving of protein for a meal. I can't do that with carbs. Carbs tend to bother me. But if I can eat 100 grams of protein at a meal and feel totally fine.
I can, so long as it's not mixed with something that you if I have let's say the Five Guys burgers, which ends up being 56 or 60 grams of protein for 2 of these things. I'm fucked up from that, but it's because of the bread and the cheese and maybe even the fact that it's not grass-fed beef like I talked about before. But if I sat down and it had a 1 pound ribeye steak, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So it's literally if I had a half a pound steak and I had it with pasta or bread with it, it would it would upset my digestion. So I think that's the takeaway for people is to pay attention to what you're eating the protein with, and do you get bothered by X amount when you do?
Yeah, and if you think about back in the day when they were eating mammoths, it's like they had to eat as much as they could before the meat spoiled, or maybe they figured out how to dry the meat or whatever, but the point is that you're going to adapt based on what your availability is too. It's like, so to put an arbitrary number there, if you only eat, if you eat 60 grams of protein, that's too much. Yeah. You're only going to assimilate 40 grams of it. It's such
otherwise it would be, and Sal's brought this point up before, otherwise it would be a great strategy. Then you just eat 5 meals with 100 grams of protein in it always, and then you can guarantee that you're not going to get fat.
Yeah, those calories don't count because my body can't absorb them. It doesn't work. But that's a great point, Justin. The way we evolved is we ate, and what prevented us from continue to eat more was our digestion. So I'm sure we didn't eat to the point we got sick. Right. We would eat and be like, I don't want anymore. I don't feel good anymore.
I'm done. Yeah.
And you're done. That's typically the number one thing that should dictate your diet and nutrition is how does it feel when you eat it? How's your digestion? Because if your digestion's off, you can forget about building good muscle or burning good body fat. You're too inflamed. Your gut controls quite a bit of things. So let that determine. And so for some of you, it's going to be a lot. For others, it's going to be much less.